Good morning. This is week three's um, lecture on how to convert a four-way valve to either a two-way or a three-way valve. And in this case, you can see that this frame right here in my PowerPoint is talking about converting it to a two-way. And so how do you begin this, or how do you go about doing this? Well, I take a look and I always start on what is referred to as the normal side. And that would be the side that has the spring attached. Okay, so I'm looking up here at the two-way, and you can see the spring attached to the left side. So you look at this envelope right here, and then you compare it to this envelope down here, and you can see that I've got a lot more things going on, obviously, in my four-way versus my two-way. But to get an air passage that's going to allow fluid to pass through, be normally passing, I need to look at my numbers here. And I can see that 1 going to 3 would be normally passing. So for the envelope on the left-hand side, my normal condition, I would have 1 to 3. Now, you can, well, what do I do with the rest of these? Well, at this point, I don't have to worry about them, or at least I don't worry about them. So with this, I can leave these alone until I get to the right-hand side, or the actuated position. I go back up here to my two-way, and I can see that where my pressure would be coming in, it is actually blocked, so it cannot pass through. So if I look here, you can see that 1 in this case is going to 2, so I would put a plug right here in number 2. So that port would be plugged off. So that would be in this lower piece right here. In other words, this T-shaped symbol would be 1 going to 2, and 2 would be blocked. Okay, so the air cannot go through there. My fluid cannot pass through. Now the upper half of this shows me that I have also an internal blockage, so it cannot exhaust or come back through this direction. So what I'm looking at there is I've got 3 going to 5. Well, I can't plug 5, or excuse me, I can't plug 3 because I'm using it over here in my normal condition. So what I want to do is I want to plug 5. Okay. So let's take a look at the next frame and see if that's what I'm doing. Remember, I should be plugging 2 and 5. And here it's explaining it to you. Since the two-way passes in an unactuated state, the four-way must also. That's what we talked about. So in other words, 1 to 3, it has to be able to pass through there. And then, of course, in the actuated state, all paths must be blocked, and that's what I was talking about, blocking 2 and blocking 5. So there's where you can see that the 2 has been plugged. In this case, in its unoperated condition, 5 we don't have to worry about, but we have to also consider it in its operated condition. Let's see if they did that. Yep, right here. So if you look, not only did they block or plug port 2, but here they're showing us plugging port 5. Okay. Now, if we wouldn't have plugged port 2, when we had shifted to this condition, in other words, we just plugged 5, we would be losing air or fluid out through this port. So that's why it's important that we plug port 2 right here. The reason we plugged port 5 is that we have no return coming through here. So air cannot pass back through in the opposite direction. So they're showing us that we are plugging port 2 and we are plugging port 5. Did I need to put the plugs both on this side? or do I need to put them both on this side? You can see they did one of each, and that is fine. It does not matter if I could have put this plug over here, so I would have had them both on this envelope, both in this envelope, or you can split them up the way we've got them. Again, I prefer to put them probably both over here, because that's where I needed to add my plugs. Okay, let's go on to the next frame. Okay, here, what they've done is they've reversed the envelopes. Before we had a passing envelope here, well, now we have a non-passing. So what do? We look over here and we go, okay, I can't have pressure passing through here because it should be plugged. And it looks like they've got it right here on this frame as well. Let me move this up a little bit. So you can see that they've actually plugged 3 so air cannot pass through. And in this envelope, we don't want air to pass back, just like we did the 2 and the 5 and the last one. We would be plugging both of these. So we plug 3 so air can't go this way, and we plug 4 so air cannot come back through there. And that's what they're showing you both on this frame. We get to this side, and you can see that it would be a passing. And just like the last one where I only worried about which one was passing, I'd be going from 1 to 2. Okay. So it's pretty much identical to what we did in the last one. Just pick different ports this time. Okay, here we've got a different configuration. In this case, we have a 3-way valve over here. And of course, here's our 4-way. And again, if you look at it, I've got a passing envelope here. In other words, my pressure is going to go from this point, and it will pass through the valve body. So that means I'm going with 1 to 3 again. And if you look over here on this envelope, you can see that that air is coming back through and being allowed to exhaust down here. So which ones would we plug? Well, again, we'd have 1 to 3 for this one. And then over here, we still have to have 3 because we're going all through 3. So we'd have 3 coming back to 5. So we'd have to plug 2. In other words, it's not showing our pressure going out in this envelope. So this one would have to have a plug right here. Let's see if that's what they did. So again, 2 had to be plugged. Again, they did it in this envelope. They could have put the plug in this envelope. Again, it makes no difference to me where your plug goes, but we definitely had to plug port 2. And that should take care of it for us. Let's see if that is what we got in the next frame. Yeah, what they did is they've switched it just like they did the 2-way valve, where our pressure is blocked to begin with, or non-passing envelope. So down here means that I'd have to plug port 3. And if you go over here to the operated envelope, you will see that my pressure is being allowed to pass through here. So the fluid is passing. So that means 1 to 2 has to be available to me. And the other one is blocked. So of course that means I'd have to have a plug on 5. Let's take a look. 3 is blocked. And in this case, they didn't plug 5 in this frame. And let's see, is there reasons for that? Well, it's actually physical. The spool that shifts back and forth in here is already physically blocking it here, so that's why they didn't bother to put a plug in here. So, those are the ways that you can create a 2-way or a 3-way valve from a 4-way valve. Why would we do this? Well, there's going to be times when maybe on your go to the parts room in your facility, or maybe when you order a valve, you get the wrong one. And if you got a four-way valve, you will be able to turn around and put some plugs in it and make it work like a two-way or a three-way. So in other words, you may not be able to get the right parts, or you just want to go with just one particular valve type so that you don't have to have two ways, three ways, four ways all on the shelf or in your parts room. You don't have to have multiple valves for different things. This way you only need the four-way, and you just put some pipe plugs in there and plug off those ports that you don't need. Okay, thank you.